Hey everyone, this is Corinne Lafont, your favorite radio host, your only radio host, and favorite girl, of course, broadcasting to you from the lovely island of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean and between the lines. And you know how we do it here in the Caribbean and on between the lines with gratitude, or as I say, thankfulness. So it is great to be here. I am still above ground, people. I'm still above ground and I'm thankful. I'm thankful to have my guest here with me. This is my second guest for the day. And I'm happy to be able to still do my show, still have all my faculties intact, and to be able to learn from my guests. And they pour into me and we both pour into you. So I thank you so much for listening, watching, following, liking, sharing, commenting, asking questions, whatever you wish to do. I am also thankful for that. And I have a lovely lady here with me. Her name is Fernanda Brady, but she calls herself Fern, which is so cute. Fern. She's cute like a fern. And and let me tell you what we're talking about today. We're talking about birthing a legacy in words with Inklings Publishing. Let me repeat that. Birthing a legacy in words with Inklings Publishing. So she has her own publishing company, and let me tell you a bit about her. So Fern is the founder of Inklings Publishing. She holds multiple master's degrees and certifications. She began her professional life as a foreign correspondent. Wow. Taught ELA for 15 years as English language, I would think, and is a full-time realtor in Houston. She has published many short stories, 2 picture books, a couple of poems, the first volume of a graphic novel collaboration, and her first novel, United Vidon. I hope I pronounced that correctly. She's the president of Houston Writers Guild, as well as the Board of Authorology. It's a study of authors, I guess. Authorology. She's nodding her head. So welcome officially, Fern, to Between the Lines. It's great to have you here.
It's great to be here. I'm so excited.
Good. So am I. Fern, let me ask you a question right off the bat. With multiple masters, I've never heard of somebody with multiple. No, let me not lie. I have a friend who has 2 master's degrees, but you had to be so different, okay, and do multiple master's degrees, and then come along now and decide to have a publishing company. Tell me first about the multiple master's degrees and how it's connected to Inklings Publishing.
Well, that is an interesting story. So basically, my right away after I finished my bachelor's in history and journalism, I did a master's in public relations and communications, right? Because that was kind of the area I wanted to be in, was working in public relations, working with journalism, writing in the writing field. And then, as I began to be a foreign correspondent, I was working as a freelance writer. I realized that the journalism area and the public relations area was not really the thing that really filled my heart. I enjoyed it, but I found it difficult sometimes when I had to be given specific assignments to really focus on writing on that topic. So I started teaching at the time, and then as I was going through my teaching career and just writing as a hobby, I went for the master's degree with the of mid management. Basically, it's the one that allows you to be a principal, to have principal certification with it. And after having gone through all of that and seeing, how limited the principals are really in being able to do anything meaningful in the field of education, and really wanting to understand my students and help my students, I did a master's in counseling. And all these three masters that, and they have helped me with Inklings Publishing in the sense that a lot of the public relations, a lot of the communication efforts have the study of that has been really useful as we build this company. Being able to manage it, even though it's not a school, which was the real focus of that master's, was managing the school. Just in general, budgeting and just personnel management and risk management and all the things that go with really managing an enterprise, a business, an organization, have come in very, very helpful. And honestly, the master's in counseling has helped in so many ways as a writer, filling the characters out in a really realistic way, making them truly connected to people, and making them very real life like, with all the struggles that we ourselves go through in our lives. And it has also helped just in being able to help my writers in the writers community, especially in this harder time of pandemic. So many writers have been struggling to be able to have time to write, or the desire to write in these moments where there's so much uncertainty, being stuck inside in quarantine. It's been very difficult for many of them. And so having had the experience of learning about counseling really helped, because I'm able to give them advice, encouragement in the ways, and just even having sessions. We have writers rooms every Friday, and intermittently through the week we do an impromptu writers get together. And these are really useful because you check in, you talk, you laugh, you vent things that are happening, and it's just a kind of almost a little mini therapeutic session for authors in the community as we gather and try to focus on our craft, and then we focus on writing. We do these little check-ins, and then we write. And so it gives them a chance for accountability that, we're expecting you in the room, right? You've said you're coming. And so it gives you a chance as a writer to say, okay, this is the time I'm setting aside for my craft, and I'm going to make sure that I get it in. So that's kind of how they go together.
Yeah. 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 I like that. And we do share something. We do share something in common, Fern, because I'm into public relations and marketing communications, and I absolutely love it. I love it. It's a passion. I love the writing too, because I too am an author. I'm also a publisher. And so we share a lot of things in common. So I could identify with that. And I love how you transition into having your own company and taking all those skills and experience with it, so that it can add value to your clients and the writing groups that you're in. What I want to ask you though, with the pandemic and this uncertain environment that we're in, because we really don't know when COVID is going to go, there's a second variant. We don't know if there will be a third, fourth. We don't know. We're in a don't know scenario. So
Mhm.
it's a flow and go kind of situation. What do you see for the hope of publishing? Because when I came into publishing, it was relatively new. I mean, publishing was always there, traditional publishing.
Yeah.
The publishing houses, and they were struggling, I think, at that time. And I came in at the time with ebook digital publishing. It was very, very new years ago. It still is new to a lot of people because people are still trying to understand it. But I was one of the first, if not the first person in the Caribbean to be a publisher, a digital ebook, audio book, print book on Amazon, that kind of thing,
Mhm.
that type of publishing. So I want to know that you have started your own company. What do you see for the future of publishing, especially in this environment going forward?
Well, I think that in this environment, especially, and especially with global politics being so uncertain as well, that the written word and authors and artists in general are extremely important. They're what feed us. They're what give us hope. One of the interesting things, we did see a drop last year in sales, obviously, especially the in-person sales. We saw a drop in being able to sell the physical book, right? Because most of those sales come from
Mhm.
in-person events where you're at the location and people connect with you. But we did see a rise in our ebook sales. We brought them down to a very affordable pricing,
Yeah.
and we saw a lot of sales of online books, and I think that that's because when things are difficult in our lives, the escape of the art, the moment of just letting your brain relax and go into a made up world and just enjoy that, for a moment, is a very important part of our lives. And I think we are seeing how important the arts are for keeping hope alive, for encouragement
Yeah.
of people. I mean, we
Yeah.
saw so many museums that went to an online tour situation, and you could tour the museum online because they didn't want their doors to shut and all these beautiful works of art to no
Yeah.
longer inspire. So I see that the future is bright. I think it's going to be difficult, to continue, in the sense that, people who are losing jobs as we transition workforce. That's what we're really in. We're really in a moment of transitioning the workforce from a traditional model of people going into offices or people working in certain fields that are really needing to transition away and into the future fields, right? From like fossil fuels to like more renewable energies. We really need to invest in these kinds of infrastructures and companies, we're transitioning and we're seeing a transition workforce,
Yeah. It sounds like dinosaurs. It sounds like dinosaurs. It
They
sounds
are,
like
they're coming
dinosaurs,
back.
right? Fossil
They
fuel.
are.
You're right.
But that's the
But
hope.
you
The hope.
said something before.
Hmm?
Yeah. Yeah. You said something before. Sorry for cutting you. You said something
No.
before about writing being therapeutic. And it definitely is therapeutic. And I'm thinking, one second, let me just turn this off. It definitely is therapeutic. And you said the timing, because of the uncertainty, people are having a challenge writing. I'm thinking now should be a great time for you to be writing. You have the peace and quiet, you have the stillness, hopefully at home. You have more time to yourself, you have time to reflect. You can use it as a form of therapy to really become a better version of yourself, to really dig out all those old traumas that are torturing you. You never
Hmm.
know, you can just birth out, like you said, the birthing of a legacy of words. You can give birth to so many books at this particular point in time. And what just popped into my head is different types of books. You might suddenly realize you might become a children's author. I mean, this is a great time for me to test my illustrations or test writing a book that can uplift children at home, because there are a lot of children who are at home with their parents, and we can bring out books. That idea just came to me. Bring out books that can help parents navigate the whole home scene with children, because now it is so different for them. They're going crazy. How to
Yes.
deal with that in a fun way, and to communicate how to
Mhm.
communicate better with your spouse, with your relatives, with your children. Bring out a series of books. I might take on that project myself. Let me take that back. Let me take that back. And just and just create those books to help the parents at home. What do you think about something like that?
I think it's a wonderful thing and a great project. And actually, one of the things when we started Inklings, having been a teacher, I remember many times we talked to parents, read at home with your kids, ask some questions, delve into the
Yeah.
material and things. But one of the things I found was that a lot of parents just don't know what to do. They don't know how to pose those questions, because as a teacher, you know how to ask the questions because you've been trained, right? You know how to ask certain questions that will guide the thinking. But as a parent, you just don't know. Many parents just don't know. And so when I opened Inklings Publishing, I started off a children's line, and we have a couple of picture books. We've got 3 anthology collections of short stories and poetry by different authors, and we have we're looking forward to having several other picture books coming up this year, and all of them, everything that is geared towards kids includes, of course, the multiple choice questions that they're going to have to do the testing, right? That's just a part of their life. So we have that built in so you can practice. But then we have a lot of extension questions. We have interdisciplinary connections that can be made, things that they can go research. So you have that research component and different activities that they can do that will provide for the parents the resources. So if you have one of our Inklings children's books at home, you have included in that book, you don't have to go look for it. You don't have to go buy something extra. It's in the book, all of the resources to teach with the book. And if you're not, a teacher, if you're just a regular parent, trying to figure out what to do with your kiddos, you've got the materials there, to be helpful for you. And I think, and
Yeah.
oftentimes that,
Yeah. And we need to. No, go ahead. I'm listening to you. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I mean, I feel like the parents oftentimes they don't do these things. They don't sit down and read with the kids because they don't know what to do, right? Other than asking them to tell you what they read, what you read about, how'd you like it? Okay, and that's all they
Yeah.
really know. But,
Yeah. I think we need to bring out some storybooks for parents. Honestly, we need to bring out some storybooks for parents.
mhm. Oh yeah,
Parents need help. Seriously.
they do. They do.
I think the children honestly could teach them if parents just listen.
Oh yes, and
Honestly.
I think a lot of parents are getting to learn a lot right now with their kids at home. They're finding out a lot of things.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Whether they like it or not. Just like COVID. Whether they
that's
like it or
right.
not, you gotta deal with it. I'm here, and you need to use your mask. You need
That's
to
right.
use sanitizer.
That is right. That's right. And,
Oh my God.
I think a
Oh
lot of
my
parents
God.
have discovered their children. I mean, they've had them for years, but they're suddenly discovering them. Discovering them as little people, the way teachers
Can
know
you
them.
imagine that?
I know it's
Fern, can you
interesting.
imagine that? Why does it have to take all of this? You think it's just to give birth to another human being and drop them there? No, you're supposed to get to know them. You're
Well, and
supposed to get to know them.
in many ways, I think that it isn't that they didn't want to. I think that for many families, the time element
Mhm.
is a
Yeah.
humongous factor because you have to think about feeding your family and paying all the bills, and so many families have to work more than one job. mom and dad, if they have both parents, which sometimes, many families don't. We have a lot of single parent families in our world today. And so, but if you're fortunate enough to have both, you still have two jobs, and possibly even four, depending on the level of
Yeah.
socioeconomics. And so a lot of these parents, it isn't
Well,
that they didn't.
here's what I say, Fern. Here's what I say, and this might sound very coarse, but I tend to be very honest. If they have time for sex, then they can have time for their kids. Get
Yes.
it? That's what I say. If you can make time for sex, then you have time for your kids.
You do, and you
Because
should.
sex leads to the kids.
Hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Sex leads to
Yeah.
the kids, and then you say you don't have the time. I am not accepting that. If you want to have kids, you have to have the time. You have to make the time. You have to understand what is priority. Do not bring another human being into this world if you are not willing to put the time into another human being. If you
Yes.
don't have the time for yourself, don't bring another human being into that chaos. Don't.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. And I
You
agree with
can continue having fun and you can continue having fun and sex, protected sex, whatever you need to do. Just don't bring a kid into that.
you.
And
Hmm.
then come and say at the end, I don't have the time. I'm too busy. They start to abuse the kids. The children don't need that. They don't
Hmm.
need that. So let's not even go down that road. I'm passionate about it. So let's not go down that road first.
I can see that. But I'm with you, because if
Yes,
you
I'm passionate about it.
if
No,
you have
so
made a commitment, you need to be
yes,
there.
I've been there.
Hmm.
Right. I have two boys and I spent my time with my children. I was there for all the PTAs, all the sports, all the functions, church. I'm talking church, school, anything. And I was extremely involved in everything I needed to know.
Hmm.
Okay, the teachers knew me by my first name. I was there, I was visible, visible. The first parent on the scene is me. So yeah, there was no, two ways about it, that I can't make it or disappoint my child, or, because the first person that I'm thinking about is the child, you know.
Yeah.
So let's come back in terms of, that was the connection in terms of writing and spending more time, and that discussion really segue into a lot of things, and you might think, persons who listen might think it's a distraction, but it actually linked back to the suggestion of writing books that can help you to get to know your children, and children get to know their parents, especially in this particular time and moving forward. So the hope is that publishing and taking the time to write now would allow for stronger families, Fern. Stronger
Mhm.
families, stronger connections. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, especially because, it's not just that the kids are reading the books, or the parents are using the books to teach, but also you have to build in time for the kids to write. Because if the kids are writing, and they're bringing the literacy, not just from being able to read, understand, and think about books, but to write their own ideas, their feelings, their emotions. This will allow the
Yeah.
parents to also get to know your kids a lot better, because sometimes
Yeah.
there are things that you really need to talk about that are very difficult to speak when you're sitting face to face with each other.
Mhm.
And sometimes just writing it out, writing your thoughts out about how you feel on this topic, and changing those pieces of writing, and reading each other's writing, and then talking. It makes for a more powerful communication, because through writing you
Yeah.
can express things, that you might not be able to articulate when you're face to face with somebody, right? If you're a child, you're sitting with
Yeah.
your parent, you know um, there are things you want to say, but there's that respect, and you're a little afraid of speaking, but you could write it, and writing it diffuses that tension, and then the parents can
Yeah.
address the things. So I think that the writing element is
Yeah.
not just about us as professionals writing for them, but even just encouraging them, families, to write together. and express their opinions, express their emotions,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe diffuse some of that
Yeah.
anger.
And oh yeah, for sure. Diffuse a lot of the anger. And when we say writing, I want to throw in there illustration. So you might even see a lot of skills coming from your kids. They may be very good at drawing, painting, whatever it may be. Or you give them the words and you say, okay, you draw a picture to depict what you're seeing in the words. And everybody can do it. The mother, the father, the siblings, everybody can do it, and they can take a vote on it. It becomes a family activity. Everybody give their interpretation, and just from that visual interpretation, you get to understand the minds of each person living in that household. So
Mm-hmm.
publishing, coming back to the original question about the future of publishing, but look at the impact we have gotten into just from speaking about publishing. People think publishing, oh, you have to be a big time writer. I have to have money to publish my book. Then I have to market it. How am I going to make sales? But we are looking at the social impact that publishing can have in the household, each household. We
Mm-hmm.
haven't even touched schools. We
Yep.
haven't touched anything else. We're just talking about the household where everything starts in the home.
And that's
Yeah,
why we have our
yeah,
motto, birthing a legacy in words, because you're birthing legacies
yeah,
in just being able to foster that communication, within the home, within the parent to child, even parent to parent, right? The husband and wife or the partners, right? Um, Fostering that communication, fostering that ability to communicate, that is a legacy, and being able to critically analyze ideas. Many of our authors write, the topics that they write, or the things that they portray in their books, are social issues, gender issues.
yeah,
Um, they're
yeah,
important issues that many times we have a hard time discussing. It's easier to discuss them when you have a
yeah,
book, right? Because it's
yeah,
not you, it's not the world, it's this book, this made
yeah,
up story, these made up characters, and you can discuss the issue
yeah,
deeper. Um,
yeah,
Sometimes just by diffusing it to taking it to fiction. You
yeah. Or even change the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. A book is not cast in stone. You can give a child a book, or a parent a book, and say, how would you change the beginning, the middle, and the end? Would you
know?
throw out this character? Who would you replace it with? There's so many things you could discuss around that and create. A family could be creating books. Don't think an individual is meant to write a book alone. A family can create a book
Mm-hmm.
series of books just coming out of their experiences and sharing and journaling and all the challenges that they're facing.
Oh,
Families can do this.
oh yes,
Families
definitely.
can do this.
Yes,
Right, birthing a legacy in words. Isn't that awesome? Yeah.
I love that. And even you don't even have to go far as like, oh, I'm going to publish it professionally. You don't have to do those things, but you can use them.
No, no.
There's a lot of tools available to create a book that doesn't have to go anywhere, but you have it in a
Hmm.
book format. So you, as a family, you're working
That's right.
on the project, you can compile it. There's a very cool little software called Scrivener.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's 35
Yes, I know
$45,
Scrivener.
and you just put your
Yeah.
book pieces in there. It'll compile it into a book. It looks like a book. You can have that
Yeah.
feeling.
I know Scrivener.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so
I
there's
know
a lot.
Script, and you can share it. You can
Yeah.
share it. You can share it with other families, your church community. Encourage others to do the project. Next thing you know, it becomes something massive that you never expected.
Hmm.
Just from listening to this episode. Just from listening to this episode, you get the idea. Make sure
Yep.
you give Fern and Corinne credit for the idea, people.
Yes.
I'm just saying. But I want to hop across to your website, sweetie. Let me see if I can do that. Let me share screen here and see if I can hop across to your website. Where is it? Hmm. Here we are. Did I find it?
That is me, yes. That is my book.
Is it you?
It is,
Yay!
yes, that's,
United Vidon. Did I pronounce it right? Or is it
yep,
Vidon? Vidon or Vidon?
it's Vidin. Vidin. I like to say it
Vidon.
Vidin.
Very nice.
Hmm. And it's a made up universe.
So give me a quick tour. Yes. So give me a quick tour, Fern.
Well, so this is the story of a princess, and she is on planet Jorn. It's in our universe. We're part of the universe, but we don't know it, right? And she is going to be the first female ruler of her house. But her father realizes that they're about to have a very serious situation with some of the indigenous people that they have mistreated, because they colonized. And so you have all that stuff going on.
Typically.
Yes. And so the indigenous people are getting help from the outside, and they're going to try to retake their lands. And so her father, kind of concerned about this, decides to marry her off to a prince who he is really good in military and he thinks is going to be very good. And she, on the eve of her rising to the throne, um, is betrothed instead. And she feels betrayed. She feels very betrayed by her father. She feels that he's always meant for Emil to be the king, because she realizes that he's always sort of relied on the fact that Emil was there and not really supported her as she had thought or believed. And so she makes the most horrible mistake, and she runs away. She's like, okay, you want him to be king? Fine. And she runs away, and then of course chaos ensues, and she realizes that she has given up her birthright, and she should have fought for it. She should have fought for her birthright, for her right to rule. And so she comes back to try to regain it. And of course, everything is a lot harder for her now, because it's, now she's got to prove that she is worthy of her people's trust, that she's worthy of ruling, Whereas before, when she was just born to be the princess, everybody accepted her as the queen, right? But now she's got to prove it. And so
Yes.
it's kind of a my goal in the story was to say to people, it doesn't matter how badly you mess up. If you are willing to put in the effort, you can come back from it. You can come back from it. You can regain your person. You can redeem yourself. You can come back from any mistake. It doesn't matter how heinous it was, Because I think that many times we feel like, oh my gosh, I've messed up so bad. There's no way I can come back. There's no hope for me. And that's just not true. As long as you want it. If you want it bad enough and you're willing to go through the pain, because it's not easy to come back from mistakes, right? But if you're willing to go through it, you can come back from it doesn't matter what you've done. Maybe
I love it. And that's a life lesson, Fern. It doesn't matter how bad things look right now, whether COVID, whether finances, whether family, whether children, have the hope. Know that things will get better. And you know what I use, Fern? You know what I use to help me get through a time like that? I look back at the past where I never thought that I would have gotten through something, and I'm still here to talk about it. Mm-hmm. What does that say? That it is possible.
Yeah.
It is possible.
It is. It is. And I recently had a conversation with a very nice friend of mine, and he was telling me how he had these goals for his life, and then, life sort of came at him and he had to shift gears, and, and I was telling him, it's not too late. It's not too late. You can still go out there and achieve your goal. Yes, maybe it seems like wacky at this age in our lives to go out and try to redo some things. But you know what? I mean, I started Inklings in 2013, I was already nearing my 40s. You don't have to be 20 to start your life. You can start your life again at
Nope.
30, at 40, at 50, at 60, at 80. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how old you
Of
are.
course, at any age, once you have breath, once you have breath coming out of
Mhm.
your lungs, you can do it. You notice I said breath. You don't even have to be moving. You could be in a wheelchair. You could
Mhm.
have no legs, no arms. Nothing like that could stop you. Breath. Once you have life in your body, you can do it. Nothing should stop you.
No.
Because
The
I've
only
seen people without legs, without hands, do more than me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you
Yeah.
what stops people. What stops people is mental blocks, mental limitations
The
they
mind.
set for themselves.
Yeah.
The battlefield is in
Yeah.
your mind.
The enemy. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. The
Because
enemy is within.
it
I
is.
can't say the enemy is fun. You can't say the enemy is me. The enemy
Yep.
is within. We are our own worst enemies. The enemy is
Mhm.
within.
Yep. Our comparing,
Wow.
our
Fun. This. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. If you spend your time
Yeah.
comparing yourself
And
to
then
others, yeah, you let yourself get filled with, oh well, I didn't make it. I lost all my chances. I didn't do this. No, throw that
the
in the away.
negativity.
Yes.
Mm,
Start again.
the
Today is a new day.
toxicity, the monkey chatter, the torture, the blaming, the shaming, the guilting, the torture, the loop. Forget
Mhm.
it.
Yes.
Shut
Yes.
that thing down. Shut it down. It's not serving you. I know it. We all have it. We all have it,
Mhm.
fun, but it's not serving you. If anybody who watching or listening to this can tell me if that monkey chatter and the loop has been serving you, please come back and let us know. I would love to know how it has added value to you, how it has improved your life financially, you've gotten rich from it, you have multiple cars, you're traveling if it has worked, please come back and tell me and Fern.
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. There'll be crickets going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it doesn't help you.
No,
You have to free
it
your
doesn't
mind.
help you. But
You know?
I'm still putting it out there, Fern. I'm still
Yeah.
putting it there, just in
Well,
case. Just
do
in
you remember the song "Free Your Mind"? You remember that song? It was in the 80s, I think, or 90s. Free your mind and the
I can't
restless.
remember. I'll have to look it
Okay,
up. Free your
let me
mind.
tell you. That's what
No,
you
but
need
we
to do.
took the red pill. Fern, we took the red pill on the Matrix. We took the red pill. We're free. we
You're free. That's right. You
don't
just
want the
gotta
blue pill
get
here. We took the red
that
pill.
mind.
Free your mind.
That's right.
Free your mind. When I heard you said free your mind, I heard the Matrix in my head. I see the only thing. Free your mind. I took the red pill, people. I took the red pill. There's no turning
Mhm.
back.
Yes.
Oh my God. Fern, this has been a pleasure. I want to leave the final words to you. Any final words for the listening audience before we go?
The only final words I have is, don't let your mind trick you into thinking you cannot. Because anything you choose to do, you can accomplish. So it's just a question of deciding to do it. It doesn't matter if you're scared. It doesn't matter if the situation is not perfect. It doesn't matter if you don't have all the finances lined up. It doesn't matter anything. The matter is choose.
Yeah.
If you choose to work it out, you can make it. You can succeed at whatever you decide. But you got to decide it first. And then you just do it afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with if you feel down at times, it's normal. If you
Mhm.
feel, it's normal, but don't stay down there. Don't allow
Mhm.
yourself to stay down there. The pity
Yes.
party is nice for like a minute, probably a day, but don't
Yes.
stay there. Don't
No.
stay there. Don't stay there.
Party, parties have
No,
end
no,
dates.
no.
End
Don't
time.
start inviting friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't start inviting friends to your pity party, bringing in alcohol and food and stuff. No, none of that. Okay? End the party now. End the party now.
Yeah. It's an end
Thank you
date.
so
People
much
gotta go
for
home. We gotta
all
move
the
on.
best. Yes, right. Fern, it's been a pleasure having you. I wish you all the best. I love the name of your publishing company. It's a small press, but I know it's going to be a big press. I want to ask you to stay on after I close off the episode. So don't leave, stay on. I want to have a little word with you right after.
Okay.
So don't go. But I want to wish you all the best in your business. Um, whatever that services that you're offering to your clients, all your books, I wish you success. And maybe you just never know. We may end up working on a couple of projects based on what we suggested. If nobody else is willing to take up our suggestion, clearly me and Fern, we are going to take up our own projects and run with it.
Yes.
Yes? So thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
much for
having
being on Between the Lines.